So we just named our continent, which is Asia. And so now we need to go through and get the last of these questions answered, which is really a lot easier than you might think, right? We've got our question guides, we've got all of our information on Wikipedia, and so this should be a pretty quick process if we just stop and think about it. So I lost my my Wikipedia page, the North Indian River Plain, the Indo-Gangetic Plain. Okay. So we're going to bring that back up. So it tells us, right, we just said that it's on the continent of Asia. And so then we need to find out what country. Well, this actually takes up a couple countries. This isn't what I wanted. Where did that take me? There we go. This takes up a couple countries. It takes up India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Nepal. So I'm just going to list all of those. That's not what I want. I'm going to list all of those here under country. And I know that it's actually going to take up more room than is here. So I'm just going to make this bigger. And it takes up India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. Okay. Now, is this a natural barrier? Remember, if we go back to our vocabulary, natural barrier is something that naturally occurs and blocks us. So is this plane blocking us from anything? Is it preventing us from getting somewhere? Not really. So I'm just going to take this. I can make it bold, highlight it. Okay, I can change the text color if I want to be wild. Whatever you want to do, but it needs to be obvious if you're saying yes or no. Okay, so the last part of this is how would this landform impact the way you live? Well, let's look at our questions, our thinking questions, okay? How does this landform affect how I find food? Well, it's a plain. It says in Wikipedia that it is a very fertile plain, right? So if we know fertile soil is soil that is going to grow food, it's going to be good for growing crops. And so if it's a fertile plain, it's going to make access to food easier, right? So I'm going to say living here would make, I don't want to say living here would cause, how did I word this earlier? I'm just going to take what I already said. And I'm going to put that. I've already done this a few times. There we go. Living here would make food easily accessible. That's how I worded it. So living here would make food easily accessible. Okay. Here we go. Typos. Always want to fix those. Accessible, not able. It would make food easily accessible. How would it affect how I dress? Well, I might want to be more considerate of weather, right? Because there's not going to be a whole lot of shelter naturally occurring. So I would have to be conscientious. Fix our typos. Typos are okay as long as we learn from them. Conscientious. I would have to be conscientious of weather to influence how I dress, because shelter, natural shelter, I want to say natural shelter would be limited, right? Plains are flat. And then what limitations would this cause? Well, we can see, right, access to water would be limited. So water access would be limited unless near a river. I'm just using those thinking questions to guide how I answer these, and I'm looking at the map, I'm taking what I know, and I'm using my background knowledge to make assessments. If you have questions,